Today I'm welcoming Addison Albright to the podcast as part of the 2017 GRL Blog Tour. Addison is a writer living in the middle of the USA with two peculiar cats. Her stories are gay and sometimes erotic romance in contemporary settings. Addison loves spending time with her family, reading, popcorn, boating, french fries, open window weather, cats, math, and anything chocolate. She loves to read pretty much anything and everything, anytime and anywhere. Her book, Til Death Do Us was a runner-up in the 2016 Rainbow Awards in both the Best Gay Contemporary Romance and Best Gay Book categories. Welcome, Addison.
Thank you.
You had a couple releases this summer with the Vows Box Set, as well as Cultivating Love, which is actually a re-release for you. Tell us a little something about these books for folks who may not know about them.
Okay. Well, the Vows Box Set is 4 stories. 2 novels, a novelette, and a short story. The first novel, Til Death Do Us Part, the novelette, From This Day Forward, and the short story, Okay Then, are all featuring the same 2 main characters, Sam and Henry. And their story is, it's a second chance at love story. Sam and Henry are parted for much of the story. Henry's involved in a plane crash. It goes down in the Pacific in such a way that the authorities think they've found the location where it went down, but in fact, they are somewhere else, and Henry and 3 others survive on a small island. So they aren't found for years. So the story is about grief for Sam and him getting over the process, and the emotional arc for Henry is realizing what Sam's going through out there, feeling bad for him, and then ultimately realizing he's probably moving on with his life and forgetting about Henry, and, that's hard for him to go through. And to make that work, the fact that they're separated for such a long stretch in a romance, I began each chapter with a flashback scene when they were apart, so that the reader gets invested in them, in their relationship while they're apart, and is rooting for them when they get back together. It pretty much chronicles from when they first get together through till the day before Henry leaves on the ill-fated flight. And it just highlights important scenes and events in their life leading up through that. So there's kind of 3 stories going on at once there for a stretch. You've got what Sam's going through grieving for Henry. You've got what Henry's going through on the island. And you've got their background story unfolding. And then eventually they get back together, and we've got to deal with the fact that Sam had indeed moved on with his life and was engaged to somebody else, and that's going to be a little complicated. Yeah, that's Til Death Do Us Part. Then From This Day Forward, I actually, when Till Death ended, I was happy with the ending. Everything was fine with their life, and I envisioned just, them moving on smoothly from there. But then about the time, I don't think it was quite published yet, Till Death, JMS, my publisher, put out a call for Summer Lovin' short stories, a collection to put out through the summer. And I thought, well, that's right about the time Sam and Henry's story ended in the summer, and maybe I could think up a little bit more drama for them to go through. And so I did that. I wrote a little story, giving them just a little bit more to go through, and just a little bit more of a definitive happy ending. And so that ended up being about a novelette's worth. Okay Then, the short story, it's a real short story that was written for JMS's Love is Proud, the charity anthology for the Pulse massacre. And that is just a bonus flashback scene, really long scene chronicling Henry and Sam's first date. Then the final book in the series, To Love and to Cherish, is actually my favorite of everything I've written. Is my favorite because I'm a sucker for marriage of convenience. I'm a sucker for amnesia stories, and this sort of incorporates both of them. It ends up being a wild ride. But it's related to the other two books in that one of the main characters, Nash, was Sam's fiance who gets jilted, a couple weeks before his wedding when Henry gets discovered. So poor Nash deserved a happily ever after too. So he gets it in the third story of that book. And the other recent release that you mentioned, or re-release, Cultivating Love. I always loved that story back when it was at Loose ID. So it'd been a long time, and I wanted to breathe some new life into it because I really loved those characters. I didn't think I was going to do much in the way of overhaul on that because I remembered really liking the story as it was, and it had been a long time since I reread it. But when I reread it, I ended up pretty much bleeding on every single page, rephrasing things here and there without really changing the story, but rephrasing the way I express things. Paying attention to what a lot of reviewers might have commented on. I added a whole chapter in the middle to address something that a lot of people felt was missing. And I expanded the ending and added a whole new epilogue to bring it more up to date to what the possibilities were today compared to in 2008, 2009 when I wrote it.
Now, going back to Vows, you're also bringing this out in audiobook. How's that process been for you? Is this your first audiobook?
Yes. It's been fun. It's been real exciting. It's something I thought about for a long time, and I wanted to do it because just reading on social media, there's a lot of people who are, even though I've never gotten into audiobooks, a lot of people apparently it's almost exclusively what they'll do, and just to try and just give it a shot, reach a wider audience. So I put them up I started with just the first one, put it up for auditions, and I was thrilled to get a number of good auditions, and I ended up going with David Gilmour. I loved his voice. It's just a real, what's the good word, soothing voice. I don't know if it sounds like it might put you to sleep, but it won't. I recently just got the full set of files to proofread, or not proofread, but I guess read while listening for Til Death. So probably Labor Day, that's what I'll be doing, is listening to that so I can get it out by, I think the 21st is when the release blitz is scheduled.
Congratulations. Audiobooks are always fun when you're doing your first one. Now, you're a GRL newbie. What made you take the plunge and come join us in Denver this year?
Oh, wow. I'm really scared to death, to tell you the truth, because I'm basically shy as well as an introvert. And so it's like way out of my comfort zone. But why I'm doing it this year for the first year, even though I wrote some stories back in 2008, 2009, before taking like 7 years off for real life issues. So I've only started writing again recently, and my first publication since coming back was Til Death Do Us Part, which released in April of 2016. So really, I guess I would have been rushing things to try and do it last year, and it didn't exist back when I was writing before. So it's really the first opportunity for me to do it, and why I decided to do it is, I guess I just trying to boost my exposure, gain some more readers. Hopefully, I don't know how well it works, but I've never even attended a conference, let alone this level of one as a featured writer. So it's scary, and I'm going all out trying to hopefully draw in some more readers, because I think my books are reasonably good. They've done well with reviewers, and like you mentioned, the Rainbow Award runner-up for Til Death, I was immensely proud of that. So, but I don't think they sell near as well as, a lot of the popular writers, and I'm just trying to inch my way in that direction.
Sure.
I don't know how to do it, and I'm thinking maybe this is one way to try and help toward, gaining a few more readers.
Tell us a little bit about your writing process and style.
Judging by, some of the comments and some of the reviews I've gotten for like Til Death Do Us Part in particular, I don't think most people would believe that I'm a total seat of your pantser writer and didn't plan any of that in advance. But I guess technically I might be more of a hybrid. I don't write out plans in advance for the story, especially detailed chapter by chapter. I have in my mind the idea of the book planned out. Like for Til Death Do Us Part, for instance, I knew overall what the story arc was going to be, and the emotional arc for Henry, the emotional arc for Sam. But I didn't know the details of what they were going to go through until as I was writing it. So I think that makes me lean towards being a pantser. Mm-hmm. Which is odd because in real life, I am a total planner. But I just can't do it. I didn't know what drama Henry would face on the island until I was writing it, because it didn't really matter to the story, really, the overall story. It added color to the story, but the details of what he went through, other than knowing it would have to be a backdrop for whatever stage in his emotional arc that, he needed to be in at that point in the story, the details didn't matter to me in advance. I just needed to work it out as the character developed, and then the ideas came to me then. Mm-hmm. And like into Love and to Cherish, it really veered from my original plan. Originally, it was just going to be a marriage of convenience story. And I had the first 7 chapters written, which were basically setting up to make it believable, his Nash making the choices that he made. And it wasn't going to matter what the drama was going to be for the two to eventually fall in love up until that point. And I hadn't actually even figured out what their journey was going to be to fall in love by the time I got to chapter 8. And then it occurred to me what I wanted to do. And the story just took an entirely different direction from what I originally intended.
Keeps it interesting.
Yeah, it does. I mean, there's a lot that happened, especially into Love and to Cherish, that never would have occurred to me if I was just sitting down and trying to come up with ideas, and writing out a plan. I mean, it happens, as I'm writing the story, then an idea comes into my head and I run with it.
And so far, you've only written contemporary. Do you plan to want to branch into other genres, or are you happy in the contemporary space?
Well, I read any number of genres. I like to read contemporary. I like to read historical. I like to read science fiction. I really love mysteries. I would love to branch out more. I'm not sure how well a fit I would be for mysteries, because it seems like you would have to be a planner to write a mystery. But one of my favorite tropes also involves like time travel. And so there's like a story idea that I've been bopping around in my head that involves that. So the story I'm coming up with would start out contemporary. Then there'd be some accidental sort of time travel, and then it would turn into something else. I don't know what exactly you would call it.
Now, you've got a giveaway for our listeners. Tell us what you're offering up. I thinking a choice of ebook of anything I've got out there. Okay.
I guess easiest.
Sounds good. We'll put a Rafflecopter on our show notes page for the week and give people a chance to enter, and one lucky person will come away with a backlist book.
Yeah.
Fantastic. Now, what's the best way for folks to keep up with you on social media?
I'm pretty active on my website /blog. I've got, mostly daily. I post promo for like various other people. But I've also got regularly, especially on Fridays, a fresh flash fiction that goes up. A lot of times it's for fans of my existing stories. It'll be a bonus scene for one of my books. Then I've also got flash fiction unrelated to my existing publications. So people who haven't read any of my stories but would like to see a sample of my writing style, they could read any of that. So besides that, Facebook, I've got a page and my profile. Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, and I'm not really active on YouTube, but I'm thinking of maybe trying to do more on that.
Fantastic. So we'll link up to all that stuff on the show notes page as well. Addison, we look forward to seeing you in just a few weeks in Denver.
I'm looking forward to it. I really am.
The Big Gay Fiction Podcast is thrilled to once again partner with Gay Romlit as a featured blogger. You can see all the participating blogs and the full GRL Blog Tour schedule at gayromlit.com/2017 blog tour. Gay Romlit is an annual retreat that brings together the people who create and celebrate LGBT romance for a one-of-a-kind must-attend gathering of dynamic, informal, and diverse fun. Each year, the retreat travels to a new city and hosts tons of events from raucous parties to mellow tete-a-tetes, while still maintaining a spirit of familiarity. GRL is the place to connect with old friends, find family you didn't know you had, and meet with both newly published and established authors in the gay romance genre. This year's retreat is set for October 19 through 22 in Denver, Colorado at the Denver Marriott Tech Center. For more information or to register, please visit gayromlit.com.